Google just released a new flagship model, Gemini 2.5 Pro. And when I tried it out, it worked better than Grok 3 and a lot of flagship models like O3 Mini. In this video, I'm going to try it out with Cursor and we are going to build a couple of projects. I'm going to build out this interactive game using this. It just requires a lot of physics while building this, and apart from that, I would also be making changes in one of my existing products to see how well it works when it tries to understand your code base. Also, I would be helping you in setting this up on your own cursor so that you can also start playing with this model. Let's get started. Let's take a look at the benchmarks. So in a lot of cases, this model has improved a lot upon the last variant that they launched, 2.0 Pro. So if we just look at the benchmarks, the first one, humanities last exam, over there it scores 18.8%, which is far better than anyone else on the list. Then GPQA Diamond, which is a science-based benchmark, over there it also performs better than a lot of models, and especially when it's just used for one time rather than multiple attempts. Then AIMA 2025, it also outperforms all the models out there. And then on coding benchmarks like Live Code Bench V5, Ada Polyglot, it also matches the performance of the frontier models like O3 Mini and Grok 3. But when you compare it with these other models on live coding examples, then you will see a far greater difference. And if I go through to the bottom of this paper, you will see the reason for that. It can take up to 1 million tokens, which is far greater than any other model right now. And they are planning to expand it to 2 million very soon. So this will just enable you to build apps that were not possible earlier because now it can understand more of your code base. So if your app becomes 2x complex now, even then it can understand what your app is. So this is why this model has been doing so well, and when I have tried it personally, I saw the same kind of results. Right now, this model is available on aistudio.google.com. You can use it over here. It's free right now. You can use as much of it you want to. And surprisingly, this is also very fast. So let's say if I give this a complex task, I'm giving this model a prompt to generate a full PRD. I will just copy this entire prompt from here and I will drop this here. So when I paste this prompt itself is actually 142k tokens long. So this is definitely challenging for any other model to do. When I tried the same prompt with Sonnet 3.7, uh, it did not process it. So let me just show you. So if I go on T3 chat where I can use these other models, if I select Sonnet 3.7 reasoning over here and I drop the same prompt. So as you can see, it was not able to process the prompt itself because processing this prompt take much more higher context limit. And when I come back over here, it has easily processed it. We can also see the chain of thought here where it explains that, what the project is, what it is expected to do. Now let's look at the output. So the output itself is very, very detailed. It even has pseudo codes where it is required to have that. It also have structures of smaller files like, for this specific project, I wanted it to also give me schema of how the data should be stored on the database. So it has provided all those details as well. I think this got stuck in the middle. I will just ask it to continue where it left off. But the thing is, the speed itself is also so much faster. When you compare it to models like O3 Mini or Grok 3, they easily take 2 minutes for processing something like this. But this is much, much more faster. It has given me the entire PRD and it is very much detailed. When I compare it to responses from O3 Mini, this is much more detailed. When I tried the same prompt with O3 Mini, it missed out a lot of details around how the data should be stored in the database. Then it also missed out giving me the final file structure. Now let me show you how you can use this model within Cursor and how you can use it for actually coding any of your apps. So for this, you basically have to get the API key from here and you have to add this model on your cursor. So what you have to do is when you go inside Cursor, you have to click on this top right icon, which is the settings icon. When you click on it, you are redirected to this settings screen. Over here, when you click on models, then when you scroll to the bottom, you will see this icon called add model. Over there, you can add the model name. So for getting the model name, you can just, when you select this model, this name below the model is the actual name that you need to paste in your cursor. So I will just copy this from here and I will come back over here. I will add the model and I will just click enter. I've already added it, so I won't be clicking enter, but when you add it, this will show up on the list of available models to you. The next thing that you have to do is you have to add your API key over here. So for doing this, you just have to go to the same panel. You just click on get API key and you can just create a new API key over here. You would have to select the cloud model for which you want to generate this. If you haven't created any cloud project so far, then you would have to create one, but it is free to use, so you can directly create it. The website for that would be console.cloud.google.com. Over here, you can create a new project and you can come back. So over here, you can just click on the top and click on new project. And once you create it, then you can go back to the screen and you can select the project for which you want to generate the API key. You can select any project. The API key is right now free, so it won't matter. You don't even have to add a billing address. But once you generate this key, then just come back on cursor and paste the key on Google API key panel over here and just enable this. When you verify it, it might fail because right now on the verification, this is using a model that is scraped right now. So don't worry if you get invalid API key error from here. Just paste the API key that you generated from the AI Studio and this should work. Taking a quick pause here. Are you a founder who's looking to build your own app, but learning coding is really overwhelming for you at this point, and you don't want to pay a MVP agency $5,000 and still wait 6 weeks to get your MVP back? Then I have something for you. I recently created a guide that helps you learn how you can build your own apps using AI coding tools like Lovable and ChatGPT and Cursor. And all of it requires no coding from you. And this guide takes you from an absolute beginner to someone who can launch an MVP within 2 days and someone who can create a full-fledged product within a week. Over here, I would be covering everything from creating a SEO optimized page to integrating OpenAI Claude APIs within your product, authenticating users with email, Google, or their phone numbers, deploying the app on a custom domain, setting up a backend using Supabase, and collecting payments with Stripe. There are two options. Either you can get the entire course for $179, or you can opt for unlimited support with me that would cost you $449. This is the pricing for only the next 20 slots, and this will increase as soon as we hit 120 sales. The reason is we want to keep the quality of the support and the community consistent. So it sort of is a full package if you're trying to create an app. This include all the lessons that I have learned myself while I was creating apps using AI over the last 6 months. This is for someone who don't want to waste 6 months. This will just help you get started within 4 hours and you can start creating your product. Check it out. It's in the description of the video. See you on the other side. Now back to the video. Now let's test this out. So I will open up a new project. So I will just create a new project. I will call this testing Gemini 2.5. I will just create this and I will click on open. When I do that, I am redirected to a new project. On the right, I will select ask mode because right now this model is only available for chatting or editing a piece of your code, but this is not available for agentic use cases. So I will select ask, and in the model I will select the Gemini 2.5 Pro. I will select this model and over here I will just check. Can you tell me which model is this? It told me the model it is using right now, Gemini 2.5 Pro. So this is working fine. We cannot use it in the agentic mode, so it cannot actually write code, but it can give very detailed instructions that can be used by a smaller model like Sonnet 3.5 to actually building out the product. So I just asked Grok to give me a prompt that I can use with a thinking model to build out a game that would be difficult for an thinking model to build out. And it gave me a pretty good prompt for building a simple physics-based game which runs in the browser window, uses vanilla JavaScript, And the game should feature a cannon that a player can aim and fire to hit a target. The player should be able to adjust the angle and the power of the cannon using the sliders and click on the button to fire the projectile. So the projectile should actually follow a realistic trajectory. So this is basically a very popular thing in physics where you have to basically predict the projectile of a ball, and you have to consider things like gravity while creating the entire projectile. So this would be challenging for an AI model to build out. And this also added another simple challenge to it, with in which it asks it to add a obstacle in between the cannon and the target so that the projectile has to go over the wall. I will also copy this and I will just paste this here. I will ask it to provide me the code and also tell me how to run the game so that I can just give it to a smaller model like Gemini 3.5 and it can run the game for me. So I will just send the prompt here and let's wait while it's generating this. It's gonna take a while. So meanwhile, let's check out some of the things that people have already built out with Gemini 2.5. One of the best examples that I like so far is it's from Matthew Berman. So he created this Rubik's Cube solver using the Gemini 2.5 model. So what happens over here is you can ask the model to scramble the cube and then ask it to solve it, and it will solve it in the minimum number of moves that are possible. The reason why this is so difficult to build is because even while the cubes are moving, the color needs to remain the same and the program needs to remember where every piece of the cube was. He also mentions that when he tried building this with Claude Sonnet 3.7 or DeepSeek, he never got this result. And the insane thing is that this model goes up to cubes of sizes of 20. I was really impressed looking at this example. Similarly, another example that just blew me off is from this guy who just drew a three-decker cake on a piece of sheet. Then he converted that image to an actual image using the Gemini image generation model, and then he turned it into a 3D using 2.5 Pro, and then he 3D printed it out. So this was a pretty cool example of how much smart this model is, and it conserved all the small details like the dimples on the cheek, all the candles, even the small flowers on the side. But so now let's go back to our example. I see that it has finished generating the code. I will just copy this entire thing. I will create a new folder here. I will call this instructions.md, and within this I will paste the entire code that we got. I will open up a new window. I will select Sonnet 3.5 here and I will select the agent mode, and I will ask it to just go through the file, generate required files with the given code in the repo, and run it. So this is gonna take a while. Meanwhile, another cool example of the projects that people have built out is this 3D game that a person built. So they used 3.js, basically the engine behind all the cool games out there. Even the Levels IO flying game, if you would have checked out, it is built with the same library. This model created this entire 3D car simulator within one prompt, and there are trains, there are clouds, there are trees, mountains, and everything in this simulation. Pretty cool example. It says that it has already generated the game, so let's try it out. It is running on our local server, so I will just copy this address from here and I will paste this in the terminal, and we have the game. So let's try this out. I will set this to 30 degrees and I will try a power of 80 here. Okay, I think the range is far lesser. So when I just try to fire a ball, it does not goes even centimeters away. Let's try to change this. Can you please increase the magnitude fire power by 30H? Let's try refreshing this. I will select 87 here, and okay, this is a lot of power now. Select a lower angle, and still it's a lot of power. Okay, that was pretty close. The target itself is so small. So finally I was able to hit the target, and this gives a small system message when you hit the target. It says hit. This was pretty fun to play with. Things were accurate within this, even if you look at the project time. And the best part is it has also made the game pretty much challenging. No one can get it in the first 5 to 10 tries. So I will give it to that. This is a fun game to play. Now we are done with this. Next thing I want to show you is that how you can use this for building on your current repositories, because the biggest power of this model, which is its context window, can only shine when you use it with big projects. So I will use it with one of the projects that I'm working on right now. So I will go to my projects. I will select one of the transcript project that I was working on, and if I just run it here, so this basically directs me to the home page of the app, which this is a transcription tool. So what it does, it content creators just create transcripts for their videos. The homepage, I want to just add a calculator showing people that how much time and money they would be saving while using this tool. So I would want to just add a new section at the bottom, basically a calculator where you can select the amount of videos that you create every month, what is the usual size, and then it will give you the estimate of the amount of time that you are saving using this tool and money. So the first thing I would have to do is that I would have to give it the context of my repository. Now I cannot do it directly because we don't have the agent mode enabled for Gemini 2.5 Pro over here. So what I would have to do is I would have to generate a summary document of the entire repository. For that, I would be using this project. This is called RepoMix. So it's a tool that packs our entire repository in a single AI friendly file. So for running this, what you have to do is you have to just run this command in your terminal. So I will just copy this from here and I will run this command. When I run this command, this generates a new file within my repository, which has the summary of the entire repo. So I will just copy this and I will paste this here. Over here, I will ask it to go through the entire repo and generate the code and instructions for adding a calculator, savings calculator on the home page. The calculator should match the design style of the project. And finally, I will tell it what the inputs would be. So the inputs would be a number of videos you make every month, average length of your videos, and the output would be the amount of money you would be saving. I want to take the inputs in sliders. So I will just drop this here and I want it to give me the exact code whichever files needs to be edited, and I wanted to give the instructions on how this can be integrated on the homepage. So I will just copy the instructions that are created and since these are straightforward, I will just open up a new composer window over here. I will select Sonnet 3.5. I will remove this file from the context and I will select the agent mode here. I will just drop the entire thing, go through the instructions above and paste the code in the right file to integrate the savings calculator on the homepage. So this thing would come up pretty handy if you have a very big project, because what happens when you are using Sonnet 3.5 across a very big project is that it does not get the context of all the files. And when you're trying to build something complex, something like a API integration, then you also wanted to consider external documents. You can paste everything, all the context in the same window with Gemini 2.5 and it can give you the exact instructions. For complex use cases, it's best to just create an instructions folder. For example, the one that I have created here, and just paste the entire thing. And if it's something simple like the example over here, then you can just directly drop that in the composer window. I will also delete the RepoMix file from here because this would just make the entire project very bulky. You don't want it. So it is adding the savings calculator component. And you will notice that it has generated the component in the right directory. For those of you who have used Cursor extensively, you will know that Cursor in a lot of times just fucks up and create the component at the wrong places. So it says it has created this. So let's check it on a home page. how it works. Okay, so we have a savings calculator. The heading matches the rest of the website. This is nice. If I select 35 videos here and I select 15 minutes long, then it tells me the amount of money and time that I am saving. So this is pretty cool. I really like the implementation. I would also want the UI to look like the rest of the site, but that is something that you can also prompt it to do. So that is all for this video. Hope you liked it. See you in the next one. Bye bye.